This is I've Got Scars, baby.
What do you feel like gets in the way of a man embracing that balance and embracing the masculinity, the silk, the iron fist and the silk glove? What do you feel like gets in the way of that?
What gets in the way, I feel, is that great question, by the way, Audra. What gets in the way, I feel that the subconscious, right? Because when you're looking and zooming into the subconscious have two functions: to record and to play back. So a man, he don't just become a man, he was a boy first. But what did that boy record into his subconscious? So whatever or however he grew up, maybe he grew up in a house full of women, maybe he grew up in a house full of people who were never men spiritually, but they were adult males, right? But what that looks like, right? So whatever the environment that he grew up in, he will automatically start to emulate that environment. So it's very important for men to go back and deal with some things, right? And see where we grew up at, how we grew up, and why we are the way we are. And always know that, just like a canvas, if you don't like what's been painted thus far, you can paint over it and start again. And that's what men have to know this. Like, you don't have to just be a certain way because that's just how I am. That's how people think, right? No, that's just me. Like, I know I used to be like that way. Right?
Yeah.
I done been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the hat. It wasn't always turbans and incense and sage. Like, I come from that energy, right? I was with all of the business, like, and that's all of the business. So with that being said, I was crying out for something, right?
Wow.
I didn't have that balance. I didn't know what that looked like, and we're taught as boys, right? Suck it up, young buck. You better not never let a woman see you cry. So we would hold it in, right? And we never expressed ourselves. We never really released tears in front of people. But that's the essence of manhood. When you could cry, when you could laugh, when you could just really express your emotions, when you could be vulnerable, right? I feel that men need to be more vulnerable. We're living in an age where toxic masculinity is this thing, right? And you sit up here and you look at it like, wow, like, what's that? What toxic masculinity? So now men are now disassociating themselves with quote unquote manhood, because manhood is pointed at now. Oh, that's toxic masculinity. So to answer your questions, I feel that it's very important for us to go back, deal with what's been downloaded into our subconscious, and then overwrite that download. And there's a science for this, right? The science is called epigenetics. And epigenetics is basically overriding your subconscious. So now you're dealing with your conscious. And how do you do that? Through creativity, right? When you're creating, you're conscious because you're present. You're in a moment, right? You could be vulnerable. You could be all of these different things. So it's very important to live a life, right, that's quote unquote conscious, so you can begin to overwrite this programming. And last but not least, they did a study and they used the Petri dish. The big homie Bruce Lipton talks about this, right? So whereas he had three Petri dish, and then according to them environments, cells grew differently. And that's the same thing with manhood. According to our environment as boys, we will all grow into quote unquote adult males, but probably not manhood. But how do you overwrite that? You create an environment that supports, encourages manhood, encouraging loving yourself, and all of these different tools and modalities. And then in that environment, you will produce something different. And that's what it's about, changing the environment so we can grow into men, not for our families, for our communities, and for the world at large. The world needs to see more men being men. And I'm specifically talking about Black men. Let's be real clear, or I should say ebony men. One of my teachers Father Ramdi of the legendary Watch Prophets, who's in back of me with his hands crossed, he told me a few weeks ago, start using the word ebony people. And because he said that's such a sophisticated word, and it's that's a better word than always black. So my ebony men, right? We can change the narrative by going back and overriding what's on our subconscious.
Oh gosh.